and Bernabé Gutierrez, General Secretary of Democratic Action. After I saw all this, I said I have to take part in this due to the statements, Maduro, Maduro, Maduro. You know what my position has been in these days. And last Thursday we had a 1-hour debate where all journalists took part from Venevisión, Global Televisión, Venezuela TV, TeleSUR. We were there giving the answer straightforward to our homeland and our people. So we had a very good electoral campaign. So now we are going to start from today's vote, from your vote, compatriot, citizens. From today, a new era is born in Venezuela, and we give ourselves an opportunity to begin a process, a truly democratic process for the recovery of our beloved homeland. So I've voted with a lot of emotion. Remember that in January, there was a bomb attack, and they exploded all electoral equipment. All those that didn't want you to vote, those that didn't want that this year a new National Assembly was elected as per the Constitution, those that did not want elections, they blew up the warehouse with the electoral equipment. We were out of equipment. And we have to thank the electoral power, their personnel, their engineers, their technicians, because they have carried out a miracle. They have made a miracle. They built electoral equipment more modern, better, more advanced than the ones that we had before. And now we can vote in less than 4 seconds, rapidly, safely. I want also to thank the National Electoral Council for all the logistics, the Republic Plan, the Bolivarian Armed Forces for all their work of biosecurity. From the moment that you enter the electoral center, there's social distancing. There you get your hands sanitized with alcohol. One enters, presents their ballot, they put it in a box. They test your finger, and only for putting your fingerprint on the panel, your hands are sanitized again. Then you go and vote, and then you put your fingerprint on the voting book, and sign, and there you have alcohol again. So from here you go out with lots of alcohol in you. At least your hands are full of alcohol. They are a bit drunk. So it's a good time to come and vote it. I have my Maradonian clock here. A beautiful watch that was given to me by Maradona. I have it on because it's good luck. Every time I have it, it's good luck. Not good luck for Maduro, but for our country. It's 1:44 here in Venezuela, and I'm at your disposal under this heated sun here at your orders. So we begin our questions. How are you, President? It's been a long time since I've been able to interview. That's why I'm going to ask 2 questions. The first thing, after these 5 years of this last legislatureship, what do you think has been the worst that has happened, and what have you learned? What has the people and the executive power learned from this situation? And for the second, for nobody is a secret, the situation of oil in the country. A country that is blocked, that supplies are prevented from arriving, and obviously they had a consequence. Do you believe that this situation can somehow affect the vote? Well, in first place, I think that Venezuela has a balance of what happened in these 5 years. There were very, very bad years of failures. It's been a great harm for the country and for the National Assembly as an institution. They asked and brought the economic sanction against food that we imported, against medicine, against fuel, against industrial supplies. They promoted the sanctions to steal from Venezuela, to steal more than 30,000 million US dollars from bank accounts, to steal the money in England. It was them. They are, with names and last names, Henry Ramos Salud, Julio Borges, Juan Guaidó. They all have names, last names, and face the ones responsible for the disaster, for the failure of the National Assembly. You remember that a day like today, Sunday, 5 years ago, we elected the fourth legislature. And in the end, the results were given during the night at 10 p.m. When the results were known, well, the opposition had won. I came out immediately a minute after Jorge Uribe. From the moment that the results were known, Celia was with me. I spoke at national TV. I acknowledged the results of today's election, December 6, 2015. The opposition has won. Congratulations. I call on the people of Venezuela to acknowledge and respect the results. To the Bolivarian people, I said, we will have new situation and we will continue battling. And we will have to remake our strength, our force, our political mechanism and leadership. And took to the streets. I made assemblies with popular movements. In January, on 5th of January, that National Assembly was established, the one from 2015. And I assisted, I think it was at January 10th. I went, as per the Constitution, to honor. I saluted all of them with decency. And they gave me their word. And I say, Mr. Henry Ramos Salud, President of the National Assembly of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, my respects. I recognize you as President of the legislative power, and I recognize this National Assembly, and I call for dialogue, for work, for Venezuela. That's a summary of what I said. What was their answer? A door slammed in the face. What was their answer? Say that in 6 months they would out me. Their answer was to organize plots and conspiracy and demand sanctions against Venezuela, even ask a military intervention against Venezuela, a war against Venezuela. How can we name this?
Y luego pedir la intervención militar contra nuestro país, pedir una guerra contra Venezuela.
The lowest of the lowest. A lack of vision as a country. For 5 years we have endured. If you ask what's the worst that assembly did against the country, was the betrayal to the homeland, when it asked sanctions against the economy of the entire people. That has brought us to a painful, difficult situation that we are facing. That's why it's so important today's step. A new National Assembly is born, a new hope of a great change, and I'm at their service. From now, I'm at the service of this National Assembly that the people is electing today, to sit and together work for Venezuela. There's lots of work to do, to rebuild the legislative power of the country, to rebuild the economy of the country, to recover the freedom of the people. There's going to be a lot of work, and I'm the first one to acknowledge the decision of the people today to be at the service of the National Assembly to work for Venezuela. On the fuel issue, you know that in these moments Venezuela is producing in our refineries sieged after bringing the repairs from the green roads. More than 40 flights from green roads, we brought all the repairs. That was 3 times more expensive, and we could repair all refineries, and we are producing all the fuel that the country needs. In the last days, as a result of Christmas, that people go out to buy and move around and do their business and their commercial activities, there's a higher demand. So we are looking for a point of equilibrium, because you know that the United States stole 3 million oil barrels recently because they're pursuing the ships of important fuel that we need to complement and relieve the internal market. But you know that we are headstrong, and they have been able and won't be able to deal with us. And with the effort of the oil industry here in Venezuela and other workers, we're going to be able to make it work. And with the National Assembly that comes out to defend Venezuela and stop sabotaging Venezuela, a new assembly that is truly plural, we're going to have better options to move forward on the solution for these sanctions. Next. The second and last question from Michelle Agleva from Global Mission. Mr. President, for you and those that are with you, I'm also going to ask 2 questions. First, Ecuador's President Lenin Moreno considered recently that the decision of carrying out the elections in Venezuela, according to him, there's no conditions to guarantee Venezuelans. Who's Lenin Moreno? Who's Lenin Moreno in international politics in Venezuela? Who's Lenin Moreno in Ecuador? Sorry that I asked back, but continue. I just wanted to know your opinion of what Lenin Moreno said. And the second question, I want to take this opportunity to talk about the coronavirus. Russia started to vaccinate large part of its population yesterday, and the United States said that by 15, this vaccination process is going to start in the States. I would like to know if in Venezuela the vaccination process is going to be able to do ahead of time. Well, the first time I heard many journalists today with posters with mainstream opinion that early Reuters, BBC, AP, and other European press have wanted to impose on the sovereign and free elections in Venezuela. I see that every journalist has asked the same question. To Jorge, it was also asked the same question. Jorge answered that it was weird because he works with 2 medias. To the vice president, they also made the same question. They asked the same question to all candidates. To Diosdado Cabello, they also asked him. They asked Timoteo Zambrano the same. A Bernabeu Gutierrez as well. Carlos Melo. Those are among the ones that I was able to see on TV today. Former president of Spain was asked as well. He's an international observer. José Luis Zapatero, that provided a news brief after visiting the president of the National Electoral Council, the European Union, the U.S. government. Those are the ones that imposed that mainstream opinion against Venezuela. It is the state that has imposed this mainstream opinion. So don't talk about Lenin Moreno. He's just a puppet in this history. It's not Lenin Moreno. It's Donald Trump. It's the U.S. empire that wants to destroy the democratic institutions of Venezuela, that wants to destroy our economy, that wants to destroy our society to colonize us. He wants to colonize Venezuela. It is a project of recolonizing Latin America and the Caribbean that failed and was defeated in the States. It has no purpose and has no purpose to interfere in the internal affairs of any country. For example, what was your name, sorry? Michelle, look. The elections in the States, they were on December 3rd.
Las elecciones de Estados Unidos.
On November 3rd to December 6th, only 30 some days. And today there are not official results of the elections. The incumbent president, Donald Trump, says that is the biggest fraud in history in the US. Trump is the one saying this. But also says that it's a corrupt system, the electoral system in the States. But also says that the Democrats have always said fraud in the States. That's what the president of the US is saying. It's not what Lenin Moreno, the puppet Lenin Moreno, is saying. And what country in the world interferes giving their opinion on the US election? For example, we don't do it out of principle. We respect the self-determination of people of every country in the world. And we demand the respect to the self-determination of our people. Venezuela is not a colony of anyone. Imagine that we were a colony. There we will have to accept that the metropolis of this colony called Venezuela says when you have to do elections. We go, we don't, but we are not. We have 200 years in history of independence, and that's why today our vote is a vote of revelry. It's a vote of independence, to say to the world that we are not a colony for anyone, that Venezuela is a sovereign independent state, and today we are exercising that independence and that sovereignty. So we do not accept and we reject any attempt to interfere or intervene in the legitimate Venezuelan elections. As simply as that. On COVID, regarding COVID, well, every Sunday we carry out a talk with the country on the subject of COVID. Yesterday we couldn't. Yesterday we provided housing to more than 3 million people. And we are on our way to 3,400,000. And from there we are going to go to 5 million houses that we're going to fulfill this objective. I took advantage yesterday to provide a briefing. What can I say? That the method 7+7 has worked in Venezuela. What can I say? That we have fairly controlled the pandemic. Venezuela has an average on the international model systems of 13 cases per 100,000 inhabitants. The United States has almost 500 cases per 100,000 inhabitants. Ecuador, Lenin Moreno's Ecuador has more than 200 cases per 100,000 inhabitants. Colombia has 280 cases per 100,000 inhabitants. Brazil, more than 300 cases per 100,000 inhabitants. Now, this is not for us to declare victory. I take this advantage to tell to the people, and I warn them that we have to take precautions. Everyone that is coming out to vote, those that are listening to me, but be ready, head of family, mother head of family, grandmother head of family, youngsters, Venezuelan family, get ready to go out and decide for a country with sovereignty, with patriotic duty.
Familia venezolana,
But I have to say to those that are seeing, that are watching me and listening to me, and to you, Michelle, that are seeing
espíritu patriótico nacionalista.
lots of people in trade centers.
Y a ti, Michelle,
It has been impressive how many people were at trade center, at malls. Yesterday,
impresionante.
records were broken of commercial transactions.
Ayer,
There were more than 1,500 commercial transactions per minute. We have follow-ups of all these thanks to economic equipment, the finance minister.
500 transacciones por minuto.
And I've seen a lot of people without mouthpiece on the streets, without respecting social distancing, and that's dangerous.
Mucha gente
I say to all Venezuelans with responsibility and with moral,
sin respetar el distanciamiento.
because look, I have come because I've
Yo le digo a los
faced head on the issue of coronavirus, and I can say to all Venezuelans that we have to take care of ourselves.
yo le puedo decir a los
The
venezolanos
fact that you have the mouthpiece
cuidarse, que nadie se descuide.
without beautiful logo of Global Vision, the fact that you have that mouthpiece, you are taking care of yourself, but you are also taking care of everyone else, because those that use face mask take care of themselves and of everyone else.
Cuidando tú, pero estás cuidando a los demás.
We have the treatment, as you
Que
know.
usa el tapaboca. Se cuida a sí mismo y cuida a los demás.
We have all treatments
Tenemos los tratamientos, ¿sabes tú?
for free. Several delegations that came from Africa, they were telling me,
A nivel mundial.
and
Gratuito.
observers from Africa, from Europe, from Latin America and the Caribbean that are moving around the electoral centers, and they were all telling me that it was impressive that in Venezuela the PCR test
Corriendo los
was completely free for the entire population. That did not happen in the rest of the countries.
Venezuela el pez
That the treatments, all treatments,
fuera totalmente gratuito para
from the asymptomatics, for the mild symptoms, for the moderate symptoms, and for the patients in very serious conditions are completely free. That the more advanced and expensive treatments are completely free. I explained to them in private how we did to bring all those treatments here to Venezuela, where we bought them, how we managed for all of them to arrive to Venezuela, and thanks to these treatments, we have saved hundreds of lives of people that are alive and well thanks to the treatment that they have received. And that's how we are. We are making the vaccine trials, Sputnik V.
que se le ha dado. Y así estamos
In
nosotros.
some-
Ahorita se está haciendo la prueba de la vacuna.
Sputnik V.
Sputnik.
And the trials are going well.
En algunos países dicen V.
And I expect
Sputnik V. Va bien.
they are announcing that vaccination rate started in Russia, very good.
Experimento clínico.
They are announcing that in the United Kingdom they're also going to start, in Spain, in the United States.
Empezaron las vacunas en Rusia.
I say that I
Está anunciando
calculate-
que van a empezar las vacunas en el Reino Unido. En
a
España,
conservative
en Estados Unidos.
forecast that on April we're going to start large-scale vaccination in Venezuela,
Ser prudente de que en abril
because we have to see, because we have to bring together also, Mitchell, you know what the best vaccine is? The best vaccine is to take care of ourselves, hand sanitizing, face mask, all the things that must be used. Taking care of the family is the best vaccine. So in the first place, above everything else, taking care of ourselves is the best vaccine. On second place, PCR test on time and treatment on time. And on third place, the vaccine. We are going to start vaccinated more or less on April. So I hope I was able to answer the questions. I don't know if any other journalist has another question from Venevisión.
menos en el mes de abril. Así que bueno, espero.
Is Flores from Venevisión.
No sé si algún periodista tiene otra pregunta.
Look, I have to dry my sweat because there's a lot of heat. Because if you take the picture with the sweat, they're gonna then say in the world that Maduro is suffering.
Me socó el sudor, es la foto
So can I have a moment to?
sufre.
Anyways,
Me promete
I'm sure that Spanish television is gonna bring this up. Maduro asked for permission to to dry the sweat.
La televisión española va a sacar esto. Maduro pidió permiso.
Good afternoon, President, and everyone present. Former President of Spain, Zapatero, said during a news brief he questioned and rejected foreign interference in Venezuela's affair and also criticized those people or opposition leaders that criticize the other sector of the opposition that is taking part in this electoral process. What do you think of those people that are calling for abstention in an election process of the legislative power of the country? I would also like to know what are the priorities from the economic point of view, from a social point of view, that your government require in terms of support of the next National Assembly. What will be those laws? We understand that you already have bills, which will be the priority that you need to solve some of the situations that the country is facing, especially in the social and economic area. With your permission, I'm going to step back up a little bit because the sun is very strong. So use the zoom in your camera, please. The first question, I saw entirely the news brief of former President of Spain, Zapatero. He's a man of dialogue. He knows very well Venezuela. And since 2015, on those parliamentary elections, he has been a good advocate with the opposition. Many times he has come in secret and has talked with the opposition. And he has delivered us messages and allowed us to deliver messages to the opposition. In all these times of dialogue, of negotiation, all the negotiation mechanisms that we took part, Jorge Rodriguez knows this very well. I saw his news brief. Effectively, he knows, he is aware that an important sector of the opposition in Venezuela registered and renew the path to retake the electoral path. And I call on all the opposition to abandon the extremists, to take advantage of Donald Trump's defeat, to abandon the interventionist agenda of the United States, that we demand all the lift of all sanctions to Joe Biden's government, that we restitute all national dialogue mechanism, and that we prepare an electoral agenda. This year it was mandatory to make the elections. The Constitution is very clear on it, and we are carrying out the Constitution. We said, no matter what happens, thunder, heavy rains, whatever happens, this year the Venezuelan people will elect a new National Assembly. And here we are. I also approve, I even approve, if you remember this, Plan 76. I approved it on a date when there were still 76 days to the election. That's why it was called Plan 76. You know why? Because we had first-hand information from international intelligence information that a plan was coming to fill the streets of Venezuela with violence and prevent the elections. They talked about a red October, of November of insurrection, and there were no elections. And there was a lot of money there. From Colombia, they poured in a lot of money. They provided lots of money to Guaido. Well, he couldn't. He was even unable to do that. Thank God. I created a special committee, a military, police, and civic committee, and I want to thank all the civic, military, and police leaders, because Plan 76 was a complete success. We arrived peacefully to the elections in national harmony,
Porque el plan
And
76
moreover,
fue
this is a great opportunity
hemos llegado en paz a elecciones.
to have the possibility to come out and vote at this time. Is a great opportunity in Venezuela.
En la oportunidad, esto es una gran oportunidad.
And it was guaranteed with Plan 76 because there were extreme sectors that wanted to sabotage. Even today, they say that they will keep electoral centers closed, threatening
Porque había sectores extremistas que
members of polling stations to keep the station polls closed.
tener cerrados centros
But they are telling me now that all election centers are open in the country and you can go out and vote in peace.
electorales.
It's very fast, it's very safe.
El 100% de centros
And participate in this historical event.
salir a votar en paz, tranquilo.
So in the next year, we're going to have an electoral path.
Y participar
And we have to
en este acto
agree
histórico. Así que
new guarantees.
los próximos años viene una ruta.
The next year, we're going to elect governors. Or we won't. Or governors are going to be self-proclaimed for 4 years more. It's possible, according to law and the Constitution, that a governor can say, I'm going to rule, I won't make any elections, and I'm going to rule 4 more years. Is that possible? We all know that the answer is no. The whole world knows that no one can do that in the country. In Spain, for example, Congress, courts, at the end of their mandate, could they possibly say, we're going to extend our mandate 5 more years? The president of the autonomous communities in Spain, can they say, I'm going to extend our mandate 2 years more? No, no one can say that. So next year, we're going to have elections for governors, and I'm saying this today, December 6th, whether it rains, thunders, or whatever happens, next year, Venezuela is going to elect governors and deputies, regional deputies as well, to the legislative councils. And next year, or mid 2022, Venezuela has to elect the mandate of 336 mayors. Can mayors say that I extend our mandate, that they self-proclaim themselves their mandate? They cannot. That's completely illegal. It goes against all ethic. It is unconstitutional, illegitimate, very childish, and even stupid. It's something stupid to think. It's stupid to think in that way, but that's the way the extremist sector are thinking. From the north, they get all the heads with stupid ideas. From right governments in Europe, they start saying things to their ears because they still believe that Venezuela is still a colony, and they treat them to these sectors as a colonized people. But what is true, and I can say this, that once the new National Assembly is established, I'm sure that it's going to become the epicenter, the political epicenter of national life. And I agree with an idea that President Rodrigo Zapatero said, that a strong national dialogue mechanism is installed, is established with all political parties of Venezuela, with all political parties that took part in the elections, with the ones that did not take part in the election, with every economic sector of the economy, with all social sectors of the country, to together see the national agenda, the agenda of economic recovery. That's where your second question comes. The agenda of economic recovery, the agenda to reactivate the entire industry of the country, to reactivate national production, to reactivate international commerce and the entrance of currency, and also to prepare an electoral agenda, to put it on paper, how elections are going to be in 2021, in 2022, in 2024. An electoral agenda of a democratic country, of a free country. I say we feel very proud. I think that they have allowed borders to pass, because when I come to vote, we have this situation of security because they have to take care of my security because I'm being hunted and I'm not a bunny, like they say here in Venezuela.
Tienen que cuidarme.
But like we say, we're going to continue living and we're going to continue winning.
Pero con el favor de Dios,
It is time. So I take this opportunity to say that I'm proud of being Venezuelan,
es la hora, pues. Aprovecho
of having a homeland
este impulso para decir,
that is standing, that is
ser venezolano.
conscious, that is self-aware. And I ask to all of you that are watching me and listening to me, let's go together. It's the day, it's the time. There's no excuse to not vote. We have to elect. Today, we must elect a new National Assembly. Today, a new National Assembly is born. Next January 5th, Venezuela will have a new parliamentary power, legitimate, legal, and constitutional. And together, we're going to start working for a new era of recovery of the welfare that was lost, of the welfare, of the recovery, of the quality of life of Venezuela, of the fight for the happiness and development of the country. I have complete faith that God is with us and that our Lord Jesus Christ fills us with His blessing and that our path, the path that we have taken for democracy and freedom, is the correct way. Good afternoon. God bless you all. Thank you all. Go out and vote.